Que las palabras de mi boca y la meditación de mi corazón sean aceptables en tus ojos, oh Señor, mi fortaleza y mi redentor. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. When I was in seminary, the ratio of men to women was rather lopsided, heavily weighted toward the men. And several of us were married, and some of us were single. And because there were a lot of the seminarians who were male, their spouses oftentimes would be at home taking care of the children, or sometimes they worked. And there was a lot of camaraderie in the seminary culture, you know, lots of time to be in angst together as we went through all of the various hoops that we had to jump through in order to get through seminary to be ordained. And so there was a lot of friendship between the men and the women that were actually on ordination track, and how easier it was for a lot of the guys because they had their spouses kind of taking care of things, and they just were focused on seminary. And so one of the female seminarians wrote a really cool parody. We used to do a lot of skits and whatnot. And so she wrote this really cool parody about she wanted a wife. She had a husband, but she wanted a wife. Because as you heard in the first lesson, a wife can do a lot of things for you. Cook and go shopping, take care of the kids, take care of the household chores and so forth. So who wouldn't want a wife? So she wrote this really cool parody. But you know, when I hear these words from Proverbs and try to measure up to that role of wife as it's written in the Proverbs, that's a tall order. I don't know how many of us could pull that off. So, but I have to admit, Bill really helps me out quite a bit, so I have no complaints about what he has contributed to my ability to do ministry. But it does set a high bar. It sets a really high bar, and a lot of times, you know, we're told that we should as women, we're told that we should model our lives after Mary, you know, and how obedient she was, and how faithful she was, and so forth. And my mother always said, she said, you know, if I had a child like Jesus, I could be like Mary too. It's not that easy. So the lessons for today, especially the first lesson and the lesson from James, talk a lot about wisdom, what it means to be wise and how important it is to have wisdom. And I'm reminded of a post that one of our young adults wrote on her Facebook page after having gone through a year of, you know, a little bit trying. And she said, you know, one of the things that I've learned is that I now know that I don't know. And so several people posted commented on her post, and it's like, that's right, that's wisdom. That's the beginning of wisdom, to know that you don't know. All of us have much to learn, and those of us who understand that we have still a ways to go are what I would call the wisdom people. Well, there's a person, a very wonderful Franciscan priest named Richard Rohr. I don't know how many of you might have known Richard Rohr, but he's a fabulous guy, and as modern times has evolved, he has a blog, and so I subscribe to it, and a couple of my friends subscribe to it, and so I saw this piece that I really felt like I needed to share today, because it fits right in with what I want to say to you. So here's Richard Rohr's blog for yesterday. I hope that you've met at least one kingdom person in your life. They are surrendered and trustful people. You sense that their life is okay at the core. They have given control to the other and are at peace. which paradoxically allows them to calmly be in control. A kingdom person lives for what matters, for life in its deepest and lasting sense. There's a kind of gentle absolutism about their lifestyle, an inner freedom to do what they have to do joyfully. Kingdom people feel like grounded, yet spacious people at the same time, the best of the conservative and the best of the progressive types at the same time. Kingdom people are anchored by their awareness of God's love deep within them and deep within everyone else too. They happily live on a level playing field where even God has come to pitch his tent. So have you met kingdom people? Have you met at least one? I have. I've been blessed to have met one or two. This one woman in particular, she is a Catholic nun, and she had a sense about her that was so calming. She accepted who she was. And because she completely accepted who she was and understood that God loved her in a deep, profound place, she was able to accept and love anybody else who came in her path. That sense of understanding of self that gave her the freedom to not be annoyed by anybody else. I mean, you know, we all have some people in our lives that no matter what they do, they irritate us. I mean, they could just say good morning and it was be like, well, what do you mean by that? We all have that kind of tendency to kind of cringe when that person comes across our path. So a kingdom person would be able to acknowledge that other person's quirks, whatever they are, and say, you know what? At this very deep level, it's that thing of I'm okay, you're okay. It's that acceptance of one another so that what other people do don't disturb you because you're so at peace with where you are. So how do we get there? How do we get to that place, to that place where we're one of those kind of kingdom people? Well, today we're celebrating, as you can see, I think that's only part of our posters, right? We still have more to hang up. So I told them they couldn't hang them up while I was preaching. So we have many, many ministries, and a lot of the ministries that we have to do with what we do for others, in service of others. The opening hymn that we sang today is one of my very, very favorites, but it's very difficult for me to sing because I get all choked up. The last hymn that we're going to sing has the same effect on me, but for different reasons. But that's the vision. That's the vision of where I want us to be. That place where we are concerned for the other in this wonderful, on fire kind of way. And this particular congregation has that as part of its culture. Our culture is one of service to the other. So a lot of the ministries that we have to do with serving outside of these doors. And somebody was saying earlier that we had so many people lined up with the posters that the church kind of looked half empty. But you know what? That's good. Because what that says is that a lot of our people are involved in service to others. What would it have looked like if all of us were standing out there with our posters saying, here's what we do, come and join us? I mean, I think that says something really good about our parish, that we have such a high degree of involvement and that we are at a point most of the time that we do it joyfully. It's not a pain to do what we do, but rather it's something that we feel compelled to do, are excited to do, passionate about. So that is a way of us getting to be a kingdom person. But there's, let me see, yeah, there it is. You see that one that says adult formation? Nice big words, nice large, stands out. Adult formation is something that we do for ourselves that gives us the skills and the tools and the wherewithal of becoming that kingdom person, of becoming that deeper awareness of our own value, and therefore we can be free to accept even those that irritate us so much. Adult formation is what we do for us that gives us the strength to do for others. So the many ways that adult formation are offered are, of course, we have an Advent series and a Lenten series, and we have a centering prayer, and of course we have our weekly Eucharist, and we also have a Thursday, and I hope that hasn't escaped your notice, that on Thursdays we have a service in the chapel around noontime. So if you live or work around the area, I encourage you to come. Right now it's mostly me and Hugh Harvey. Which is fine, that's okay. I love doing it, and Hugh leads it. I just kind of sit there and just enter into the prayers. And it's a lovely service, 15 minutes, 20 minutes probably at most. So that's another opportunity. And we're also starting a new effort called What's God Up To? And what we do in that, and right now it's me and Dawn and Nancy Adelson. So we're hoping that will grow, because that's an every Wednesday evening kind of event. And it's going to be every evening, no matter what, unless we have an adult series. Then if we have an Advent series or a Lenten series, then we'll join that series. But what we do in that time is we look at the headlines or current events in our midst, and then we look at what the lessons are for the coming Sunday, and we look at that through the lens of what's going on in our own lives. So where is God in all of this? Where is God in the midst of the struggles that I'm experiencing, but yet there's this unrest in the Middle East, and yet here we have these lessons from James and the Gospel of Mark. How does all of that work together? Because you see, the scriptures are not something apart from our lives. God is not something that is separate from what we do. It's in the midst of what we do. And adult formation is that time that we can take to come together and discover, okay, how does God give me the strength and the energy to go through what I'm going through right now? Whatever challenge I'm facing right now, how is my faith? How is God helping me manage that? Those of you who don't have any struggles, maybe there are some out there who have no struggles, should also come to this and tell us how you manage with no struggles. I mean, that's fabulous. I'd love to hear about that. But if you are experiencing struggles in whatever way, relationship, job-related, children or family, or maybe a spiritual crisis, whatever it is, this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity, because what we're trying to do here, if you take the bulletin home and read the words of that first hymn, that's where we're trying to get to be that kind of people. We want to move away from worrying about the seating capacity of a church to the sending capacity of the church. How do we prepare you to go out into the world and be that kingdom person? So what we're inviting you to is to look at the ministries that are there. Many of you are already, and last night we had a fabulous banquet honoring all of the work that you all do. And we had, I don't know, maybe 130 people. We were expecting just a little under 100, and we went way over, and that was wonderful, and I'm so grateful. So we honored all of the many ways that you all serve this church and serve one another, and mostly serve the community around us. So how do we get the energy to do all of the many things that we do? Some of us being here almost every day doing one thing or another, you know, gardening or painting or fixing the plumbing or, you know, seeing to the books or, you know, the many things that happen around here almost on a daily basis. How do you get the energy for that? How do you prepare to do that joyfully? Because that's what we want. We want you to do it joyfully. We want no one here who feels obligated to do something or feels a duty bound to do something, but rather is doing it out of the joy of your heart, because God is calling you to share your gifts, to share the gifts of your ministry with the rest of us and with the community. Because here's the thing, and I'll close with this. Any church that takes more energy out of you than gives you sucks. We want to give you the energy to do what you have to do what you want to do, and do it joyfully. Amen.